Picture this. It's your niece's birthday party. Balloons everywhere, cake on the table, and a herd of kids running around like they've just been possessed by tiny, sugar-fueled demons. Parents are whispering to each other, "It's the cake. Definitely the cake." But here's the thing. What if sugar isn't really to blame for the chaos? Yep, buckle up, because we're about to bust open one of the most popular parenting myths of all time, right here on History of Food. So where did this whole sugar makes kids hyper thing even come from? It didn't just appear out of nowhere. Back in the 1970s, a pediatric allergist named Dr. Benjamin Feingold proposed that artificial colors, flavors, and preservatives might be linked to hyperactivity in children. Sugar kind of got lumped into the mix because, well, parents needed an easy villain, and sugar was the tastiest target. Over time, the idea spread like frosting on a cupcake. Parents swore they saw changes. Kids got candy, kids went wild. Cause and effect, right? Except human brains love connecting dots, even when those dots don't actually belong together. Fast forward a few decades, and researchers decided to actually test this theory. Multiple studies have been done, and guess what? The results show no significant link between sugar consumption and hyperactivity in children. That's right, no sugar-fueled gremlins running amok. One famous study published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1994 gave kids diets with varying levels of sugar, including ones loaded with it. Parents still reported their kids were more hyper, but when researchers actually observed the children, their behavior didn't change. The only thing that changed? The parents' perception. In other words, if you expect little Timmy to act like a maniac after a cupcake, you'll probably see him that way, even if he's just sitting quietly licking frosting off his fingers. This is what psychologists call the placebo effect. Parents expect sugar to equal chaos, so they notice normal kid behavior, jumping, laughing, running as hyper. Meanwhile, at a party, kids are surrounded by excitement, noise, games, and friends. They'd be bouncing off the walls whether or not sugar was even invited to the party. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a bunch of kids at Chuck E. Cheese acting calm and sophisticated, sipping tea like British royalty? Exactly. The environment, not the sugar, is what fuels the frenzy. Okay, but hold on, why do so many adults, not just kids, swear they feel a sugar high? You eat a candy bar and suddenly you're buzzing with energy, right? Sort of. Here's what really happens. Sugar causes a rapid spike in blood glucose. That gives you a quick burst of energy, yes, but it's not the cartoonish hyper type of energy. It's more like a subtle pick-me-up. The real kicker is what comes after, the sugar crash. That's when your blood sugar dips, leaving you feeling tired or cranky. So if sugar does affect your mood and energy, it's often the crash, not the high, that has the stronger punch. Kids naturally have more energy than adults. They're smaller, their metabolisms are faster, and they don't need a candy bar to sprint through a room at 80 miles per hour. That's just their factory default setting. Add excitement, noise, and the thrill of being at a party, and of course, they'll seem sugar crazy. Blaming sugar is like blaming sneakers for why kids run around. It's not the shoes, it's the kid inside them. Now, before we all start dunking donuts guilt-free, let's be clear. Just because sugar doesn't make kids hyper doesn't mean it's harmless. Too much sugar in the diet is linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, cavities, and other health problems. Kids and adults absolutely shouldn't be living on soda and gummy worms. The real issue isn't short-term hyperactivity, it's long-term health. And that's where sugar's reputation as a troublemaker is well-deserved. Another reason the myth won't die? Media. Cartoons, movies, and even commercials love showing kids scarfing down candy, then bouncing off the walls. It makes for a fun, exaggerated visual. Over time, people start believing the stereotype. It's like how spinach supposedly makes you strong because of Popeye. Spoiler alert, Spinach is healthy, but it won't inflate your biceps in seconds. Same with sugar. It's been dramatized, and we've all bought into the act. Here's something interesting. Some researchers did an experiment where they told parents their kids had been given sugar, but in reality, the kids hadn't consumed any. The parents still described their children as wild and hyper. That's how powerful expectations are. Sugar didn't do anything. The myth did all the heavy lifting. So next time you see kids racing around at a birthday party, remember it's the balloons, the screaming, the chaos, the presents, the cousins they only see once a year. Sugar is just the delicious scapegoat. Now here's where things get tricky. Even if sugar doesn't cause hyperactivity, it sneaks into kids' diets in ways parents might not notice. Breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, and fruit juices, all marketed as healthy, are often loaded with sugar. A bowl of kid-friendly cereal can sometimes pack more sugar than a candy bar. So while sugar might not turn your child into the Tasmanian devil, it is quietly messing with their health when consumed in excess. And that's something worth paying attention to. So why do parents keep believing it? Because it's easier to blame sugar than admit that kids are high-energy humans. Saying, "My kid is naturally excitable," is less satisfying than saying, "It's the cake's fault." Myths stick around because they offer simple explanations for complicated behaviors. It's the same reason we believe that cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. Spoiler, it doesn't. Or that goldfish only have 3-second memories. Also false. Our brains like quick, neat answers. Here's a twist for you. If you really want to see kids wired, don't hand them a chocolate bar. Hand them caffeine. Yep, that can of soda or that iced coffee some teens sneak has way more of a stimulating effect than sugar. Caffeine directly affects the central nervous system, unlike sugar, which just affects blood glucose. So, does sugar make kids hyper? Nope. That's a myth that has been circulating since the 1970s, fueled by expectations, media, and a hint of parental imagination. The real culprits are excitement, environment, and sometimes caffeine. Sugar might not turn kids into mini rock stars on stage, but it does have serious long-term effects if eaten in excess. So while it's okay to let kids enjoy a slice of cake at a party, maybe don't let them wash it down with a gallon of soda. Balance is the key. And here's the twist to leave you with. The next time you see kids going wild after dessert, don't blame the sugar, blame the party. Sugar doesn't have magical hyperpowers. If it did, adults would be using gummy bears instead of coffee to survive Monday mornings. And honestly, if that were the case, office vending machines would look a whole lot sweeter. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.